They told me Sparta was a land of stone and silence. I did not believe them. I came from Rhodes, a city of sailors and sun, of wide avenues and marble libraries, where words carried weight and wit was sharper than steel. I had read the speeches of Athenians, the tactics of Thebans, and the records of wars fought long before my birth. But Sparta remained an enigma. No books, no poems, only the echo of fear. I arrived just after the harvest. The hills were dry, the river low. The city sat pressed against the Taygetus mountains like a clenched fist, modest, sharp, and old. Not majestic, not grand, just enduring. I was not a soldier. I came as a scholar, commissioned to write a history of the Peloponnesian peoples for a Roman patron. Sparta was to be one chapter among many, a footnote in a larger work. But as I stepped past the broken pillars of what had once been a temple to Athena, I felt the weight of something else. Not reverence, not awe, suspicion. Eyes followed me. Not curious, not friendly, measuring. The kind of gaze that has learned to spot danger in every shadow. Children did not run, elders did not greet, and the men, tall, lean, wrapped in cloaks the color of dried blood, moved with a calm that was not peace, but restraint. I asked to see the training grounds. They showed me dirt and stone. No arena, no polished armor. Just young boys barefoot in the dust, wrestling in silence. One bled from the mouth. No one intervened. I asked to see the Agoge, the school of warriors. A man whose name I never learned said, "You are seeing it," then walked away. That night, I stayed in the house of a Perioikos merchant. He warned me gently not to ask too many questions. "They are proud," he said, "and tired. Proud of what they were. Tired of pretending they still are." I asked if he was Spartan. He laughed, short and bitter. "No, I live here. That is different." Before sleep, I wandered to the edge of the city. There, beyond the olive trees, I saw the ruins of older buildings, swallowed by time and weeds. Among them stood a boy, alone, watching me. I waved. He did not move. I turned to leave, and from behind me came a single word. Why? It wasn't a greeting. It was a challenge, and in that moment, I understood. This was not a city. It was a test, and I had just stepped into it. The next morning, I went to the market square, if one could call it that. There were no shouting vendors, no painted stalls, just a few men selling salted meat, rough wool, iron tools. No haggling. Prices were spoken like facts. You either agreed or walked away. A woman passed me carrying a basket of roots. She didn't look at me. I greeted her in formal Greek. Still nothing. I was beginning to feel invisible, or perhaps irrelevant. At midday, I visited a public bathhouse. There were no luxuries, no murals, no scents of oil or song, just cold water, stone benches, and silence. An old man sat across from me, legs submerged, arms crossed. I tried to start a conversation. "You are not from here," he said flatly. "No," I replied. "I study cities, their ways, their souls." "Cities have souls?" he asked, without humor. I nodded. "Yours is unlike any I've known." He stared for a long while, then said, "Because ours has no need for one." I asked what he meant. He did not answer. Instead, he rose, dried his feet, and left, without a word more. Later, I visited what remained of the barracks. Crumbling stone, dark hallways, old wood. A young man, no older than 20, sat sharpening a spearhead. His cloak was faded, patched many times. His hands were steady. I asked him what it meant to be a Spartan now. He paused. Then, "It means we remember." "Remember what?" I asked. "The price," he said, without looking up. That evening, I attended a meal with a few elders. Not by invitation. I simply followed the smoke and was allowed to sit. The food was sparse. Black broth, coarse bread, water, not wine. No toasts, no laughter. Just eating, mechanically, as if nourishment was duty, not pleasure. They spoke of past wars, always in third person. Never I fought. Always Spartans fought. I realized no one in the room was under 50. Their hands trembled slightly. Their eyes, never. One man said, "We were the wall." Another, "Now we are the shadow of the wall." They nodded. No shame in the words, just fact. When I asked what they hoped for the future, one replied, "That it remembers us rightly," and another added, "Or not at all. Misremembering is worse." That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, but from a kind of mental pressure. Like I had stepped inside a story so heavy, it resisted being written. Because this place was not Sparta as the world imagined. It was the echo. And echoes don't explain themselves. They only wait for someone, anyone, to listen closely enough. The following day, I found a guide. A girl, no more than 16, with dark eyes and a voice rough from disuse. She did not smile, but she agreed to show me what she called what's left. She led me through groves of withered olive trees, past dry wells and foundations of homes abandoned long ago. She pointed at the skeleton of a theater and said, "They tried to build joy here once. It didn't take." When I asked why she was helping me, she shrugged. "Because you'll leave," she said, "and maybe you'll get it right." I didn't know what it was yet. We came to a stretch of uneven stone, the remnants of a training field. The girl knelt beside a flat rock and brushed it clean. They say this is where the last real duel happened. 2 boys, one died. No one remembers who. I asked her if she believed it. She looked me in the eye and said, "In Sparta, it doesn't matter who. Only that someone bled." That afternoon, I met a Helot. He wasn't shackled, nor was he silent. His beard was gray, his back bent from years in the fields. He told me, plainly, "I am what they left behind." "Did they treat you poorly?" I asked. He smiled, not kindly. "They trained boys to hunt us for sport. But no, they didn't treat me poorly. They didn't treat me at all. We were not people to them. We were terrain." His hands trembled, but not from age. "Some days," he said, "I still wake thinking I have to hide. And then I remember. They're gone. Are they?" I asked. He looked toward the mountains and whispered, "Not all of them." I left him in silence. That night, I wrote my first real passage about Sparta. This is not a fallen empire. It is a surviving scar. And scars do not weep. They do not explain. They do not heal. They remain, as proof of where the blade once was and how deep it cut. At dinner, my host, the same Perioikos merchant, asked me if I had found what I was looking for. I replied, "I think Sparta is not a city. It is a silence people try to fill with meaning." He chuckled. "That's the closest anyone has come to truth here." Then he added, "But be careful. If you listen too long to silence, it starts to listen back." On the 4th morning, I climbed the hill where the temple of Artemis Orthia once stood. or what was left of it, just a ring of stone, half buried and cracked, overgrown with stubborn weeds. From here, you could see the bones of the city, the grid of ruins, the dry riverbed, the outlines of streets long forgotten. I sat there alone. Then, without sound, an old woman approached. Her feet were bare, her eyes clouded. She carried a bundle of cloth in her arms. She sat beside me, said nothing for a long time. Then, slowly, she unraveled the bundle. Inside were strips of faded red wool, a broken bronze fibula, and a stone, worn smooth by years of touch. "They gave this to my son," she said, without looking at me. When he finished the agoge, the cloth was his cloak. The brooch held it. The stone, I do not know. He said it helped him think. "Where is he now?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she wrapped the bundle again, stood, and left without another word, the wind catching the edge of her shawl like a banner long forgotten. That afternoon, I was invited unexpectedly to a gathering in the courtyard of one of the last noble houses. A handful of elders, no ceremony, no purpose. They were waiting for something, or perhaps waiting for nothing, which in Sparta had become the same. One man asked me, "Do you believe strength can exist without cruelty?" I said yes. Another asked, "Do you believe unity can exist without fear?" I hesitated, then said, "I want to." The oldest among them, his voice like stone grinding, said, "Then write that. Not what we were, not what they say we were. Write what we tried to be, and why we failed." He looked at me, deeply, as if trying to see what kind of future would grow from the dirt of his past. Then he added, "And do not pity us. That would be the last insult." I returned to my quarters and opened my scrolls. I scratched out the titles, tore the outlines, and began again. Not a history, a warning, not of Sparta's pride, but of its silence, not of its strength, but of its sacrifice, not of its victories, but of the cost, paid in love never given, joy never lived, and sons never named. Because in Sparta, even remembrance was rationed. And I had been allowed a glimpse beyond the cloak. On my final morning in Sparta, I walked alone. No one stopped me. No one spoke. I passed warriors in training, merchants unloading grain, a child dragging a stick through the dust. Life moved, slow, spare, unwavering, like it had for centuries. At the edge of the city, I turned for one last look. Sparta didn't rise proudly like Athens. It didn't shimmer like Rhodes or sprawl like Rome. It crouched, waiting, watching, as if daring the world to forget it, and knowing it never truly could. I thought about the stories I would write, the truths I had seen, the lies I had hoped to find, but didn't, the things I still couldn't explain. Sparta was not what I expected. It was more and less, and something entirely else. A paradox carved in bone, a warning whispered in stone, a fire long extinguished, yet still hot to the touch. As I crossed the last ridge, I saw the girl again, the one who had guided me. She stood barefoot on the hill, watching me leave. She raised one hand, not in farewell, not in welcome, just raised it, as if to say, "You saw. Now, carry it, and I will." Not because Sparta demands it, but because it deserves not to be misunderstood. Not glorified, not vilified, just seen. As it was. A city that tried to make men into gods and was left with ghosts.